Paco, and you're watching Bad Witch Books. We are going to be today I'm filming my February wrap-up. I read a total of, Stats Paco will tell you that, how many books I read. I did not get my goal. I actually had to change my goal. You guys saw in the video that came out Wednesday, where I had to change my reading goal from 120 to 100, just because of where I've been at mentally in the last couple, like last year and then this year mentally. I've just not been reading as much as books as I want to, so I changed it from 120 to 100, just so I'm not like pressuring myself about not reading as much, because I was kind of beating myself up, and then I was like, why am I beating myself up over a hobby that I really enjoy? So I think I pushed it to 100, and I'm not going to feel bad if I don't get to 120. If I don't read 10 books a month, I'm not going to beat myself up. Life is lifing right now, and there's a lot to life about. So let's go to Stats Paco, and I will see you guys later. So it's Stats Paco. Hi, y'all. So it is February. Time to look at February stats. So in the month of February, I read about 7 books. I got 1,051 pages read. I listened to about 32 hours and 22 seconds. Average rating was about a 3.7. I got more than 3 books. I just need to update that. I started 1 series, and 4 of the 7 books I read were diverse. 3 were audiobooks, 2 were ebooks, and 2 were physical. I read 2 graphic novels, and 4 novels, and 1 novella. And then audience, 5 books were for adults, 2 were for YA. And then 2.25s, that's great for me. 4 3 and 2 4.5s. So yeah, that's my stats for the month, and I will see y'all next time. Guys, we talked to Stats Paco earlier, but right now I'm gonna talk over each of the books that I read in the month of February. So the first, we're gonna go over the books I do not own, and the first being The Grandest Games by Jennifer Lynn something. I forget her last name. But this is a spin-off series of the Inheritance Cycle, and this is the start of a new series, and I read this for my book club, my in-person book club, and I should not have read this. This book is not a starting point, even though the person who chose this book for the book club said it was a starting point. That's what they had looked when they looked it up, but we all agreed that you need to have read the Inheritance Game series and the Hawthorne Brothers to even understand a smidgen of what was happening. Like, I was so not interested at all in what was going on, because it felt like being thrown in on a 3rd season of a show, and the first episode was solving a cliffhanger from the first episode, like from the season finale. So it just was not interesting at all to me. I gave this like a 2.5 on my spreadsheet, and I feel bad, but this was not a starting point. That's my problem with a lot of books lately. Like Cassandra Clare does this, is they're like, oh, this is the first, like, her, what are they called? It's the Chain of Iron series, or the Chain of Gold, or whatever. They're like, you could start with this book first, and you don't need to read anything else, but how are you going to read this when this is like a direct spin-off of the Infernal Devices? Like, they say that you could read these off, and it's not. Like, you legit could not, you didn't know what was going on. It was not interesting at all. And I hate saying that. It's mean. I want to maybe reread this if I read the Inheritance Game, and get through all 3 books and get through the Hawthorne Brothers. I might give this a go, but I just could not care less about it. That was mean, but I said what I said. Okay, so the next book I read was Zatanna Blood. Next book I have was Black Canary, Zatanna Bloodbound, or Blood something. And this was a graphic novel from DC Comics back in 2014, and it's a team-up book between Black Canary and Zatanna. And it basically, a year ago, there was a crime ring where the leader had forged everybody into a blood pact, and then the leader died. And a year later, everybody that was in this blood pact starts dying. Black Canary was a part of it as an undercover sting operation, and so she wants to save everybody, so she goes to Zatanna for help. And it's interesting because it goes a little bit into the beginning like, you see childhood Zatanna and childhood Black Canary kind of meeting at one point, and the, like, friendship dynamic was pretty interesting between these two, because it had Black Canary kind of being a big sister to Zatanna, with a lot of the flashbacks, and that was a little more interesting than the plot, and, like, the villain was interesting, but this book was very of its time, and the art was not my favorite. I didn't care for the art at all. They kept insulting Power Girl because of her outfit at one point, and I just did not care. I gave this like a low 3. And that's by Paul Dini. The next book I read, I believe it's by Paul Dini. The next book I read that I don't have is Scarlet Witch Volume 4, Queen of Chaos. This is a continuation of the Scarlet Witch series that I've been reading. And I really enjoyed this. This book has the Griever at the end of the world, who was the villain of the secret villain of the last one, spoilers, come to Wanda and basically take her out. And Wanda has to come back in her own way. And it's not a spoiler because it was really good. I really enjoyed the way that Quicksilver was handling Quicksilver and Polaris, and Wanda had a really good relationship moment in the series, in this arc, and I'm just really enjoying Wanda as a character in this series. This is skyrocketing her as one of my favorite Marvel heroines. Like, I've always really liked Wanda, but this series is making her, like, up a contender for number 1. Because it fluctuates between Storm and Emma Frost. But this is making Wanda a serious contender for the number 1 spot of my favorite Marvel heroine. I really enjoyed the art. The writing is amazing and fun. And I like Darcy in it. So I'm giving this book a 4 stars. So now we're going to go over the books that I actually own. So the first book I want to talk about is... So the next book is a book that we're reading for a book club that me, Princess, Helen, Lynn, and Jazz are in, and that is A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher. This is just a friendly book club. Everybody picks a book. We each pick 2 books, and then we have a schedule set for when we read each book. This was Lynn's pick, and this is a Goose Girl retelling. It was about our main character, Cordelia, who her mother is a sorceress, and she has, like, the power to control people, and she has these other powers. And her mother is trying to get remarried so that she and Cordelia can kind of move up in the world, and then she can marry Cordelia off so that she could just get more and more money. And they end up going to the home of our other main POV character, Hester, who is this old spinster. She lives with her brother. They both haven't been married, and they're living comfortably, but Evangeline, who's Cordelia's mother, sets her sights on Hester's brother, and they have to try to solve this problem. And I really enjoyed this. This is my second T. Kingfisher book. I still think Nettle and Bone is my favorite T. Kingfisher book I've read so far, and I really enjoyed this. So the characters were great. The old lady gang in this book was amazing. I love me some old ladies. The source, like, it was just fun. It was traumatic. Deals with a lot with parental abuse and stuff like that, and autonomy. So this was still really well done, in my opinion. I'm giving this like a 4 stars. The next book I read was The Dead Cattail Assassins by P. Deli Clark. This is my first book by P. Deli Clark. This is a novella, and this follows Evine, who is a dead cattail assassin. The dead cattail assassins are neither cats, they don't have tails, but they are dead, and they are assassins who are brought back to life by a goddess to serve her and, like, do her things. And one of the 3 rules for this is that you can't break your contract. She is hired to kill someone, and she wants to break it. And it's all about this one night, them trying to solve a problem. And I really enjoyed it. That's all I really want to say about, like, the plot. The action was great. This read very much like an anime. And the fights were fun. The characters were great. The audiobook is fun. Just a really good, quick novella. I will be reading more by P. Deli Clark. I don't know why my voice is doing that. But, yeah. So, I will be reading more by him. And this is a gorgeous cover. Okay. I got 2 more books left. And the next book I have is Immortal by Sunlin Tan. I ate this book up. I gave this book like a 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. The dynamic. Oh. All right, let me tell you what this book is about. This book is about our main character, who is Princess Lien. She is the princess of this kingdom at the start of the series. At the start of the book, her grandfather is the emperor, and he uses this lotus to bring her back to, like, she's dying, and he uses the lotus to bring her back to life. And because of this action, he ends up dying, and she has to become the new empress. And not only is she having to be the empress, she also has to deal with the kingdom that the immortal kingdom that her people are, like, sworn to. She is trying to, like, kind of get power away from them and kind of, like, allow her people to rule by themselves. And her main, like, person she has to deal with from this kingdom is the god of war. And when I tell you the dynamic between these two was chef's kiss. I loved our god of war. He was so... This book had me kicking my feet. This book had me twirling my hair. This book had me leaving Helen voice memos because of how I was eating this book up. The romantic tension was so good. The dynamic of, like, I want to kill you, and her saying I want to kill you, him hot. Oh, I loved it. I love their dynamic so much. It has one of my favorite tropes, and so good. I was fed. I really love this dynamic. This book made me really happy in a dark time, mentally emotional time. So really enjoyed this. 4.5 stars. So good. This takes place in the same world as the Celestial Kingdom duology. This is my favorite book by Sue Lin Tan so far. So the last book I have to read. Now, while Immortal had me kicking and twirling my feet, this book pissed me the fuck off. And I still really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 stars, or it's like a low 4, almost a 3, but it would have been a 4 or higher if not for the ending. And that is This Ravenous Fate. I still really enjoyed this book, but this book was pissing me the fuck off because of character choices. So this book follows 2 girls in 1926 Harlem. It's like the Harlem Renaissance. The jazz era is like in full swing, and you follow 2 girls, Elias Saint, who is the heir or the daughter of the Saint Empire, which is this like company industry that makes special steel that kills vampires, or as they're known in this book, Reapers. And you follow her as she comes back to Paris after being sent away because she had made a powerful enemy, and her enemy is her old friend Lila Quinn, who has now become a Reaper and wants her blood. And these two have to team up to solve murders that are like happening throughout the town, and I enjoyed their dynamic. I liked Lila a lot as a main character, even though she was pissing me off with some of her decisions, were pissing me off because logic was not logicking, and I can't stand it. But there was some characters in here I was like, I gotta fight. I was getting ready to fight. I was getting so angry. This book is by Haley Dennings. Highly suggest you check it out. It was fun still. I'm going to read the sequel. It got me emotional. It got me ready to fight. Like, if a book can get an emotion, like, so strong at me where I like, have to shut the book because I'm so pissed off, I think that's good. Because it wasn't like, I'm mad this book is so bad. It's, I'm mad at the things that are happening in this book, and that gets an emotion out of me. So I still really enjoyed it. It's still, the ending was not my favorite just because it felt like very rushed to me. So I am interested, is that a word? Interested and intrigued to see how she wraps up this duology. But that was all I read in the month of February. I think my top read will be Immortal by Sue Lin Tan. What did you guys read in February? What was your top read? And I will see you guys next time. Bye!